The call to feel again. There was a time when people felt everything, when joy wasn't just a reaction, but a way of being, when sadness had a place at the table, not hidden behind polite smiles or busy schedules. But somewhere along the way, we stopped feeling. We learned to function, to survive the noise, the losses, the screens, and the rush. We built walls around our hearts, calling them boundaries. And maybe we needed them. Maybe they kept us safe. But safety, for too long, begins to feel like numbness. You know that moment when you wake up and realize that everything technically works, the house, the job, the routine, but something in you has quietly gone missing? That whisper that used to tell you why you were doing all this? That's the soul, asking to be felt again. We are living in a generation where people scroll through life faster than they live it, where silence feels uncomfortable and vulnerability sounds like weakness. We don't cry in front of others anymore, not because we're strong, but because we've forgotten how to let go. But this isn't a story about loss. It is about the rediscovery of emotion, the sacred act of remembering that to feel deeply is to live fully. So here's the truth most people never tell you. Healing doesn't start when life gets easier. It starts the moment you stop running from your own heart. The moment you allow yourself to feel, really feel, the weight of what's gone, the ache of what's missing, the beauty of what's still here. Because pain, when held gently, becomes wisdom. Loneliness, when met with honesty, becomes clarity. And love never leaves. It just waits for you to open the door again. Maybe this is your moment to do just that, to sit still, breathe deeply, and whisper to yourself, I'm ready to feel again. You might not know where to start, but the heart always knows. It remembers every kindness, every hug that lingered, every sunrise that made you pause. It remembers the times you believed in someone even when they didn't believe in themselves. It remembers you. So tonight, as you listen to these words, maybe something inside you is stirring. A quiet reminder that numbness was never meant to be your home, because you were made for depth, for connection, for tears that cleanse, laughter that heals, and silences that speak louder than words. And if you've been wondering whether it's too late, it isn't. The call to feel again doesn't fade with age, it grows stronger. Because the older we get, the more we understand what truly matters. Not possessions, not perfection, but presence. Stay with that thought. Stay with that heartbeat. Because this is where it begins. Not with answers, but with permission. Permission to feel. Permission to be human. In a world that teaches us to move on, the bravest thing you can do is to stay right here and feel.
The awakening. Remembering what we forgot. There was a time when neighbors knew each other's names, when you could walk down the street and be greeted with a nod, a smile, or a gentle, good morning. But somewhere along the way, we forgot. We forgot the quiet magic of human connection, the warmth of being seen, truly seen, without judgment or distraction.
Now, most of us live surrounded by people, yet profoundly alone. We scroll through images of perfect lives, searching for a reflection of our own. We post our smiles, but hide our tears. And deep down, we wonder when we stopped belonging to each other. Loneliness is not just the absence of people, it's the absence of meaning in our interactions. It's when we talk but don't communicate, when we hear but don't listen, when we look but don't see. It's when the world becomes louder but our hearts grow quieter. Science calls it disconnection. Spirituality calls it loss of soul. But whatever name we give it, the pain is real, and it's everywhere. It hides behind the polished photos, the polite small talk, the long silences at dinner tables. And yet, somewhere beneath the noise, something ancient inside us is still whispering. It's that same voice that once told us to check on our neighbors, to write letters by hand, to reach out, not with emojis, but with presence. It's the voice that says, you were never meant to face this life alone. When we silence that whisper, the world feels smaller. Colors fade, music becomes noise. But when we start listening again, even for a moment, the universe begins to breathe with us. Connection is the medicine we've been starving for. Not the kind that comes through screens, but the kind that happens when two souls recognize each other's humanity. It doesn't require grand gestures, just small acts of genuine care. A call, a visit, a shared laugh. Somewhere, right now, an elderly woman is sitting by her window, remembering the sound of her husband's voice. A man in his 60s is scrolling through old photos, missing the friends he never got to say goodbye to. They are not asking for miracles. They just want to feel that they still matter. Maybe that's where the awakening begins, not with technology or wealth or success, but with the courage to care again. To ask someone, "How are you?" and mean it. To look into the eyes of another human being and say, "I see you." We cannot rebuild society from the top down, but we can rebuild it from the heart out. Because every time we choose empathy over indifference, love over apathy, we shift something in the invisible fabric of the world. And that shift, that small vibration, might be what the universe has been waiting for all along. Perhaps the greatest revolution we can lead now is not political or technological, but emotional. It's the revolution of remembering that we belong to each other. So tonight, before you close your eyes, think of one person who might need to hear your voice. Send a message, make a call, or simply whisper their name into the quiet. Because that single act of remembrance might be enough to remind both of you that we are still connected, still alive, still capable of love. The power of gratitude, healing through awareness. Gratitude. Such a simple word, often spoken, rarely felt. We say thank you 100 times a day, but when was the last time you truly felt the weight of those words? Gratitude isn't about manners. It is about awareness. A conscious decision to see what remains beautiful in a world that often feels broken. It's not the denial of pain, but the recognition of light even in the shadows. Most people think gratitude is passive, something gentle, quiet, almost fragile. But in truth, it's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Because gratitude doesn't just change how we see the world, it changes what the world becomes. Science now tells us what ancient wisdom has whispered for centuries, that when we focus on gratitude, our brain rewires itself. Fear softens, hope strengthens, the body relaxes, the heart opens, and suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes a little more possible. But here's the secret few dare to speak. Gratitude is not only for the easy days. It's for the days when the sky feels heavy, when the bills are late, when the phone doesn't ring. It is for the mornings when you wake up and wonder if anyone would notice if you disappeared. That's when gratitude becomes medicine, because it doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be present. It says, "Even now, I can still breathe. Even now, I can still feel the sun. Even now, I am still here." And from that tiny seed of awareness, something miraculous begins to grow. Imagine a man sitting alone in his kitchen. The coffee is cold. The clock ticks too loudly. He thinks about the years he's lost, the dreams that never happened, the people he can't bring back. And then, almost by accident, he notices the sunlight touching the rim of his cup. He feels its warmth on his hand, and for one fleeting moment he whispers, "Thank you." It doesn't erase his pain, but it shifts something deep inside him, a quiet realignment with life itself. Because gratitude doesn't need to fix everything. It only needs to open the door to possibility. We live in a culture that celebrates what we lack. We are told to want more, buy more, chase more. But gratitude reminds us that abundance was never about possession. It was about perception. It's not about having everything. It's about seeing everything differently. That's the healing power of awareness. When you start to notice, really notice, how much life has already given you. The breath in your lungs, the memory of laughter, the chance to begin again even after so much loss. Every act of gratitude is a small defiance against despair. It's a way of saying, "You have not won. I am still here, and I still see the light." So tonight, when you lie in bed and the world feels too quiet, think of one thing, just one, that made today worth living. It could be a face, a song, the smell of rain. Hold it in your heart. Let it breathe there. Because gratitude is not the end of pain. It's the beginning of peace. And the moment you let it in, even softly, life begins to heal you in ways words can't explain. When the heart remembers, rediscovering the meaning of faith. Faith. A word that once carried warmth, now too often feels like a promise broken. For many, it's something we used to have. Before the losses, before the disappointments, before the years began to weigh heavier than dreams. But what if faith was never about certainty? What if it was about remembering what the heart once knew, long before the mind learned to doubt? There is a moment, usually in the quiet hours of the night, when the noise fades and only truth remains. It is in that stillness we realize that faith isn't about looking up, it is about looking within. It's not a search for miracles outside ourselves, but a rediscovery of the miracle we've always been. Somewhere deep within us lies a small, unwavering flame. It flickers when we're afraid, but it never goes out. It is the memory of love itself, the echo of every kindness ever shown, every tear ever comforted, every moment we dared to believe in something greater. When the heart remembers, faith returns, not as a thunderclap, not as a sermon, but as a quiet knowing that we are guided, even when we feel lost. That the things we endure are not punishments, but invitations to trust again, to open again, to love again. Think of all the times life broke you open. The times you thought, I can't go on. And yet somehow you did. Something carried you. A whisper, a coincidence, a stranger's smile at just the right time. That was faith, wearing ordinary clothes. We live in an age that demands proof for everything, but faith doesn't operate in the language of evidence. It speaks in the language of resonance, right? That feeling in your chest that says, this is true, even when logic disagrees. Faith isn't blind. It simply sees what the eyes cannot. And sometimes it's only after losing everything we thought mattered that we discover what truly does. Because when the outer world collapses, the inner world begins to speak. And in that silence, we finally hear the heartbeat of existence, when gentle, steady, eternal. The elders used to say, when the heart remembers, the soul awakens. Maybe that is why so many people in their later years begin to sense something sacred in the ordinary. In the sound of rain, the rhythm of breath, the softness of light on a morning window. It's not nostalgia, it's remembrance. The soul recognizing itself again. Faith in its purest form is not about believing in a higher power. It is about believing that you are part of that power, that the same force that moves the stars also moves through your heartbeat, that every act of love, no matter how small, contributes to the rising and falling of galaxies. So maybe faith isn't something we lose. Maybe it's something we stop listening to. And maybe tonight is the night we begin to hear it again. Because every time you choose to hope instead of despair, every time you choose to love instead of fear, every time you choose to forgive instead of resent, you are remembering who you are. And in that remembrance, the heart comes home, the turning point, when light returns. There comes a moment, small, almost invisible, when something shifts. After the long nights of silence, after the prayers whispered into darkness with no reply, a faint glimmer appears. It doesn't shout. It simply is. At first, you might not even recognize it. It could be a morning when the air feels a little softer, or a song that makes you close your eyes instead of changing the station, or the gentle warmth of sunlight on your face, reminding you that the world hasn't forgotten you. This is how the light returns. Quietly, humbly, like a guest who doesn't wish to disturb. For years, maybe decades, we live believing we've lost too much to begin again. But the truth is, life never stops inviting us. It sends small signs, coincidences, words, encounters, and if we listen carefully, we realize they're all saying the same thing. You're not done yet. The turning point doesn't arrive with trumpets. It arrives when we finally stop running from ourselves. When we look at our scars and instead of shame, we feel tenderness. When we understand that what broke us also built us, slowly, painfully, beautifully. Some people call it grace. Others call it awakening. But whatever name we give it, the feeling is unmistakable. For the first time in a long time, we breathe differently. Our chest opens, our eyes soften, and somewhere in that fragile openness, light begins to pour in. Not from above, but from within. It's strange, isn't it? How healing doesn't come from trying harder, but from finally surrendering. From saying, I can't carry this alone anymore, and letting the universe, or life, or love, carry part of it for you. In that moment, everything ordinary becomes sacred again. A cup of coffee tastes like gratitude. The voice of a friend feels like grace. The world once gray and heavy starts to show color again. You realize that maybe life wasn't punishing you. Maybe it was preparing you, stripping away everything false so you could see what's real. And what's real has always been love. Not the kind that comes and goes, but the quiet one that lives underneath everything. Steady, patient, waiting for you to remember. This is the turning point. Not when everything is fixed, but when you stop needing it to be. When peace no longer depends on circumstances, but on your ability to trust again. Because the truth is, healing doesn't mean you'll never hurt again. It means that when the pain comes, it won't scare you anymore. You'll know that even the darkest nights have stars and even the longest winters end in spring. And so, the light returns, not because you chased it, but because you finally stood still long enough for it to find you. The rise relearning how to live. When the first true morning arrives, it doesn't feel like a miracle. It feels like peace. A quiet, gentle peace that doesn't ask for explanations. You open your eyes and realize you slept without crying. You stand up and notice your hands aren't shaking anymore. There's no grand revelation, only a stillness that feels sacred. Healing, after all, isn't loud. It's the soft re-entry into life. One breath, one moment, one small act of courage at a time. You start to do things again, simple things. You water the plants that almost died. You walk outside just to feel the breeze on your skin. You smile, not because someone told you to, but because something inside you wants to. This is how life teaches us to live again, slowly, patiently, without rushing. It doesn't demand that we forget the past. It asks that we make peace with it. For a long time, your reflection in the mirror felt like a stranger's. Now, when you look, you see someone who has survived. Someone who carries the memory of pain but no longer bows to it. You see strength, quiet, dignified, unbreakable. There's a beauty in brokenness, you realize, because cracks are where the light enters, and every scar, instead of proof of damage, becomes a reminder, I made it through. You start to reach out again, a phone call here, a message there. You let people back into your life, cautiously at first, but with growing trust. And something amazing happens. The world responds. Because when we open ourselves, even a little, love finds its way back. One afternoon, you sit by the window and watch children playing on the street. Their laughter echoes, pure, reckless, free, and suddenly, you feel something you thought you'd lost forever. Joy. Not the loud kind that shouts and dances, but the quiet joy of simply being alive. You realize that life isn't about avoiding pain. It's about allowing both pain and joy to coexist, to dance together. That's the secret the years were trying to teach you all along. The rise isn't about becoming who you were before everything fell apart. It's about becoming someone new, someone deeper, kinder, more awake. And as you walk through the world now, you move differently. Not with the urgency of someone searching, but with the calm of someone who's finally found. The air feels lighter. The colors seem brighter. The silence, once unbearable, now feels full of presence, full of life. You begin to trust again, not because the world suddenly became safe, but because you learned that you can survive even when it's not. That's real courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. In every heartbeat, there's gratitude. In every breath, there's prayer, not one of pleading, but of thanksgiving. Thank you for another sunrise. Thank you for another chance to love, to forgive, to begin again. This is the rise. Not a triumphant shout, but a gentle awakening. A reminder that after all the darkness, you were never truly gone. You were only becoming who you were meant to be. Full circle, becoming the light for others. When you've been through enough darkness, light isn't something you chase anymore. It becomes something you carry. That's what happens when healing turns into wisdom. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You simply wake up and live, quietly, deliberately, beautifully. The mornings are different now. You stretch, you breathe, you take your time. There's no rush to conquer the world, only the gentle desire to experience it. The first walk of the day becomes a kind of meditation. You notice the sound of your footsteps on the pavement, the rustle of trees, the rhythm of your own breathing. Each step reminds you, I'm still here. The body that once felt heavy now feels capable again, strong enough to move, light enough to enjoy. You walk a little further each day. Maybe you stop for coffee, exchange a smile with a stranger, feed the birds in the park. It's not about exercise anymore. It's about connection with the world, with yourself, with life. And somewhere between one walk and another, something shifts inside you. You start to realize that aging is not the slow fading of life. It's the unveiling of what truly matters. You see beauty in ordinary things. The smell of rain, the laughter of a grandchild, the golden hour light resting gently on the horizon. You start planning little adventures. Not grand, expensive trips, but small escapes that feed the soul. A movie you've wanted to see. A road trip with no destination. A weekend by the ocean where the sound of the waves reminds you that everything passes and everything renews. These moments, they become medicine. They heal what the years tried to steal. Your sense of wonder. Because joy, like youth, doesn't disappear with age. It just hides behind responsibilities, waiting to be rediscovered. You begin to eat better, not out of guilt, but out of gratitude. You drink more water, laugh more often, worry less. You learn that happiness isn't found in things, but in moments that make your heart feel light. You start to share your story. Maybe with a friend, maybe with someone going through what you once endured. And as you speak, you notice their eyes soften, the same way yours once did when someone reminded you that healing was possible. That's when you realize you've become the light you were searching for. Helping others doesn't always mean doing grand things. Sometimes it's just listening without judgment. Sometimes it's sending a message that says, I'm thinking of you, or offering a hand when someone's spirit is tired. Every small act of kindness becomes a ripple, a quiet revolution of compassion. Because when you give hope, you multiply it. And suddenly, the same world that once felt cold begins to feel alive again. Vibrant, connected, whole. Now when you look back, you don't see loss anymore. You see becoming. Every heartbreak, every lonely night, every struggle, it all shaped you into this version of yourself. Calm, wise, luminous. You finally understand that the point of surviving wasn't just to keep breathing. It was to live fully, to laugh loudly, to dance when no one's watching, to love even after the world told you not to keep choosing life again and again. So you do. You walk, you travel, you rest, you give. You keep becoming, well, not younger but freer, because the secret isn't in turning back time. It's in learning to enjoy the time you have. And maybe, just maybe, as the sun sets on another ordinary day, you'll smile to yourself and whisper, this is what peace feels like. A letter to those ready to begin again. Maybe this is what rebirth looks like. Not fireworks, not fanfare. Just a quiet morning when you wake up and realize you made it. You survived every storm you once thought would drown you. You learned how to live again, not as who you were, but as who you've become. The world feels different now. The air seems softer, the sky wider. You walk through your days with lighter steps, and not because life got easier, but because your heart finally stopped carrying what wasn't meant for it. You find beauty again in simple things. The smell of coffee, the hum of a city waking up, the warmth of sunlight touching your face. Every small joy feels like a miracle you almost forgot how to notice. And maybe for the first time in years, you start to believe that love is still possible. Not the reckless kind that burns too fast, but the kind that arrives gently, like the sunrise. Someone who listens when you speak, who laughs with you, who walks beside you at your own pace. Because love at this stage of life isn't about filling a void. It's about sharing fullness. You begin to care for yourself differently now. You walk more, not to chase youth, but to thank your body for carrying you this far. You eat what makes you feel alive. You breathe deeper, sleep longer, forgive quicker. You stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be peaceful. You learn to say yes again, to invitations, to possibilities, to life itself. You go out, meet people, laugh without apology. You dance to old songs and realize they sound better now. Maybe because you finally understand the words. This is what healing looks like when it matures. It turns into gratitude. You no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" You start whispering, "Thank you for what it taught me." And with that, the fear begins to fade. You stop waiting for the next heartbreak. You start waiting for the next beautiful thing. Because deep down, you know, the story isn't over. You still have miles to walk, sunsets to watch, hands to hold, oceans to see. There are new faces waiting to smile back at you. New conversations that will light up your evenings. There's laughter that hasn't yet echoed through your walls. And one day you'll realize you're no longer surviving. You're thriving. You're part of life again, not as a spectator, but as a participant. That's the quiet miracle of resilience. It doesn't make you who you were. It reveals who you were always meant to be. So if you're listening to this now, take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Feel your chest rise. That's life, still flowing through you. You're here, and that means there's still time to start again. Walk toward what makes you feel alive. Say yes to love, to laughter, to second chances. Don't wait for perfect days. Create them, one sunrise at a time. And if this message touched something inside you, if it reminded you that hope is still alive, I want to ask you something from the heart. Subscribe to this channel not just to follow, but to stay connected to stories that remind you you're never alone. Leave your like so that this message can reach someone who needs it, maybe someone who is standing right where you once stood. And tell me in the comments what you'd like to see in the next video. What part of life you were ready to heal, rediscover, or celebrate. Because this space isn't just about stories. It's about people, about us, about finding light together when the world feels dim. So thank you for listening, for feeling, for being here, for choosing to believe once more in the beauty of beginning again. And as this chapter closes, remember, you are not too late. You are not too old. You are exactly on time for the life that's still waiting for you.